Chapter 10, Regression with Panel Data. Multiple regression is a powerful tool for controlling the effect of variables on which we have data, if data are not available for some of the variables. However, they cannot be included in the regression, and the OLS estimators, ordinary least squares estimators of the regression coefficients, could have omitted variable bias. This chapter describes a method for controlling some of the types of omitted variables without actually observing them. This method requires a specific type of data called panel data, in which each observational unit or entity is observed at two or more time periods. By studying changes in the dependent variable over time, it is possible to eliminate the effect of omitted variables that differ across entities but are constant over time. The empirical application in this chapter concerns drunk driving. What are the effects of alcohol taxes and drunk driving laws on traffic fatalities? We address this question using data on traffic fatalities, alcohol taxes, drunk driving laws, and related variables for the 48 contiguous U.S. states for each of the 7 years from 1982 to 1988. This panel data set lets us control for unobserved variables that differ from one state to the next, such as prevailing cultural attitudes toward drinking and driving, but do not change over time. It also allows us to control for variables that vary through time, like improvements in the safety of new cars, but do not vary across states. Section 10.1 describes the structure of panel data and introduces the drunk driving data set. Fixed effects regression. The main tool for regression analysis of panel data is an extension of multiple regression that exploits panel data to control for variables that differ across entities but are constant over time. Fixed effects regression is introduced in sections 10.2 and 10.3. First, for the case of only 2 time periods, and then for multiple time periods. In section 10.4, these methods are extended to incorporate so-called time fixed effects, which control for unobserved variables that are constant across entities but change over time. Section 10.5 discusses the panel data regression assumptions and standard errors for panel data regression. In section 10.6, we use these methods to study the effect of alcohol taxes and drunk driving laws on traffic deaths. Key concept 10.1 Notation for panel data. Panel data consists of observations on the same N entities at 2 or more time periods, big T, as is illustrated in Table 1.3. If the data set contains observations on the variables big X and big Y, then the data are denoted open big X sub IT and big Y sub IT close, and I equals 1 through N and T equals 1 through big T. Equation 10.1, where the first subscript I refers to the entity being observed and the second subscript T refers to the date at which it is observed.